They thought the Alzheimer's made me forget. They had no idea I remembered everything. My name is Robert Mitchell, and at 67 years old, I'd built something I was proud of, a small chain of hardware stores across Oregon that I'd started with nothing but a pickup truck and a dream back in 1985. 3 locations now, steady income, and a retirement account that would have made my late father proud. Would have. Past tense. Because 6 months ago, everything I'd worked for nearly became someone else's jackpot. I should start at the beginning, though that's harder than it sounds when you're not entirely sure where the betrayal actually began. Was it 3 years ago when I married Nicole at that vineyard in Napa? Or was it further back, when I was still grieving my first wife Margaret, and vulnerable enough to believe that a 42-year-old event planner genuinely fell in love with a widower, 25 years her senior? Margaret died of cancer in 2019. 41 years of marriage. Gone in 18 months of treatments that didn't work. I was lost after that. My 2 kids, Thomas and Jennifer, they tried to help, but they had their own families, their own lives in Seattle and San Diego. I was alone in that big house in Portland, surrounded by memories and silence. Nicole appeared at a charity auction in 2021. Beautiful, charming, attentive. She laughed at my stories about the hardware business, asked thoughtful questions about my late wife, never pushed too hard. When she said she'd been divorced twice and was tired of men her own age who couldn't commit, I believed her. When she said age was just a number and she valued stability and kindness over abs and adventure, I believed that too. We married in May 2022. Small ceremony. Just family and close friends. Thomas and Jennifer were polite, but cautious. "Dad, we just want you to be happy," Jennifer had said, "but maybe a prenup wouldn't hurt." I'd waved them off. Nicole had her own successful event planning business. Or, so she claimed. She didn't need my money. She loved me. The first year was good. Great, even. Nicole renovated the kitchen, hosted dinner parties, made the house feel alive again. She got along with my kids, remembered their birthdays, sent thoughtful gifts to my grandchildren. I thought I'd found a second chance at happiness. Then came February 2024. I started forgetting things. Small stuff at first, where I'd put my keys, whether I'd taken my blood pressure medication, the name of my accountant I'd worked with for 15 years. By March, it was worse. I'd forget entire conversations, get confused driving routes I'd known for decades, call Jennifer by Margaret's name. The diagnosis came in April. Early-stage Alzheimer's disease. Dr. Peterson had been gentle but direct. "Robert, we've caught it early. The medication can slow progression significantly. You've got good years ahead if we manage this properly, but you need to start making some plans, power of attorney, healthcare directives, updating your estate documents while you're still legally competent to do so." Nicole had been at that appointment, holding my hand, tears in her eyes. "We'll get through this together, honey," she'd whispered. "I'm not going anywhere." That night, she made my favorite dinner pot roast, just like Margaret used to make. She'd been so tender, so caring. We'd talked about the future, about what we'd do with the time we had left together. I went to bed feeling loved. I woke up at 2:17 a.m. to use the bathroom and heard voices downstairs. The old Victorian house had thin floors and sound carried. I stood at the top of the stairs in my pajamas, not quite alert, my brain foggy from the sleep medication. At first, I thought Nicole was on the phone. In my living room. At 2 in the morning, the Alzheimer's diagnosis had many effects, but it sharpened certain instincts too. Maybe it was paranoia. Maybe it was clarity. But something told me not to announce myself. I sat on the top step, in the darkness, and listened. "Can't rush this, Derek. If we move too fast, the kids will challenge everything." "It's been 3 years, Nick. 3 years of you playing house with an old man. The diagnosis is perfect timing. We file for conservatorship. You become his guardian. And then we have access to everything. I know. But we need documentation. medical records showing progressive decline. At least 2 doctors saying he can't manage his own affairs. My blood went cold. Dr. Chen will sign whatever we need. I already talked to him. Costs $5,000. But he'll backdate reports showing Robert's been deteriorating for months. Once you're conservator, the prenup doesn't matter anymore. You control everything: the stores, the bank accounts, the house, the retirement funds. All of it. What about Thomas and Jennifer? What about them? Derek laughed. By the time they realize what's happening, everything will be in accounts they can't touch. We'll sell the stores to that developer who's been sniffing around. He'll pay cash, $2.4 million for all 3 locations, and the real estate. The retirement account's another $1.8 million. The house alone is worth $600,000. I had it appraised last month. There was a pause. I heard ice clinking in glasses. $4.8 million total, give or take, Derek said. Minus the 5 for Dr. Chen. Minus whatever we need to grease a few wheels at the courthouse. We're still looking at over $4 million, Nick. Split down the middle, just like we planned. What about Robert? What about him? Once you're conservator and we've liquidated everything, we put him in that state facility in Salem. Medicare covers it. He won't know the difference in 6 months anyway. Alzheimer's gets worse. That's what it does. Sad, really. But that's life. They laughed. Both of them. Laughed about putting me in a facility and stealing everything I'd built over 40 years. I sat on those stairs for another 20 minutes while they discussed details. Derek was Nicole's boyfriend, had been for 8 years, since before her second divorce. He worked in finance, had connections at banks and law firms. This wasn't their first scheme, apparently. There'd been an elderly man in Sacramento, another in Eugene. Nicole eventually let him out through the back door. I heard her lock up, turn off lights, her footsteps on the stairs. I stood quickly, shuffled to the bathroom, ran the water, pretended I was just finishing up. Honey, you okay? She appeared in the hallway. Concerned wife, face back on. Just the bathroom, I said, my voice trembling, not fake, genuine fear and rage combined. Couldn't sleep. She helped me back to bed, tucked me in like a child, kissed my forehead. I stared at the ceiling until dawn. Here's what they didn't know about Robert Mitchell. I'd spent 40 years running a business in one of the most competitive retail sectors in America. I'd survived the big box store invasion of the 90s, the Amazon onslaught of the 2010s, a recession, and countless competitors who thought a guy with a high school education couldn't possibly understand modern business. I'd survived by being smarter than people assumed, by watching, by listening, by documenting everything. The Alzheimer's was real, I wasn't faking that. But it wasn't as advanced as they thought. The medication was working. I was forgetting names and dates sometimes, sure. But I could still think strategically. I could still plan. But I won some. But and I sure as hell remembered hearing my wife and her boyfriend plot to rob me blind. The next morning, I called my son Thomas. I need you to come to Portland. Don't tell your sister yet. Just come. It's important. Thomas arrived that evening. We met at a coffee shop near his old high school, away from the house. Dad, what's going on? You sounded. Your sister was right about the prenup, I said. I told him everything. The conversation I'd overheard. Nicole and Derek. The conservatorship plan. Thomas went pale. Dad, we need to call the police right now. This is fraud. Conspiracy. With what evidence? Me saying I overheard a conversation at 2 a.m. while on sleep medication with a fresh Alzheimer's diagnosis. Any lawyer would shred that in court. They'd say I'm confused, paranoid, that the disease is making me imagine things. Then what do we do? I pulled out a small device I'd bought that afternoon from my own store. A digital voice recorder. The kind contractors use for job notes. We get evidence they can't dismiss. And we do it carefully. Because if they suspect I know, they'll accelerate everything. Thomas stared at me. Dad, I'm not as far gone as they think. And that's our advantage. Over the next 6 weeks, I played the confused old man perfectly. I forgot Nicole's birthday, apologized profusely when she reminded me. I bought expensive flowers to make up for it. I asked her the same questions multiple times. I got lost driving to the store I'd owned for 30 years and had to call her to pick me up, embarrassed and shaken. She ate it up. Each incident was so sad, and proof he's declining faster than we thought when she talked to Derek on the phone conversations I recorded with the voice-activated device. Thomas had helped me hide in the living room lamp. I recorded everything. Nicole. Calling Dr. Chen to schedule Robert's next evaluation, and make sure you emphasize the memory issues in your notes. Derek. Meeting with a lawyer about conservatorship paperwork. Nicole and Derek celebrating over wine after she'd convinced me to sign what I thought was a simple update to my healthcare directive, but was actually a power of attorney document. One that I'd had Thomas photograph before I signed it, showing the pages she'd slipped into the middle that gave her sweeping financial control. I went to my real doctor, Dr. Peterson, and had him conduct a thorough evaluation. Cognitive tests, memory assessments, the works. He documented that while I had early-stage Alzheimer's, I was fully competent to make financial and legal decisions and showing good response to medication with stable cognitive function. I had him put it in writing, notarized, dated, with video of the full evaluation. I met with my actual lawyer, Bill Henderson, same guy who'd handled my business incorporation in 1985. Explained everything. He brought in a colleague who specialized in elder law and fraud, Robert. What they're planning is textbook elder abuse, the specialist said. Financial exploitation, fraudulent conservatorship, conspiracy to defraud. We're looking at serious criminal charges, not just civil liability. I don't want just criminal charges, I said. I want them to confess. I want it documented so clearly that no one can ever claim I was confused or incompetent when this happened. Bill smiled. You have a plan. I always have a plan. Thomas and Jennifer, I'd brought her into it by week 3, helped me set up what came next. Jennifer, who worked in tech, got me something special. A pair of smart glasses that looked like regular prescription frames, but recorded 1080p video with crystal clear audio. They were marketed for people with memory issues to help them remember daily activities. Perfect cover story. Nicole thought they were adorable when I started wearing them. Oh, honey, those will really help you remember things. She had no idea they were capturing every conversation, every interaction, every mask slip when she thought I was too out of it to notice. The meeting was set for June 15th at the law offices of Morrison & Bach, the firm Derek had retained. Nicole told me we were just updating some estate documents to make sure everything is protected, given your condition. She'd laid out my clothes that morning: casual slacks, an old cardboard, rumpled jacket, making me look diminished, incapable. She'd even suggested I skip shaving. You don't need to impress anyone. Honey, we just want you comfortable. I'd smiled and agreed. Then after she left to run errands, actually meeting Derek for a pre-meeting strategy session, which I knew because I'd been tracking her phone, I changed into the charcoal suit Margaret had bought me for our 40th anniversary. Fresh shave, polished shoes, the smart glasses. Thomas picked me up at noon. We drove separately to the meeting. Nicole and Derek were already there when I arrived, and her face flashed confusion at seeing me in a suit. But she recovered quickly. Robert, you look so nice. I thought you were wearing the blue slacks. R. Changed my mind, I said quietly, playing it confused. Is this not okay? Should I go home and change? I can change. No, honey, you look great. She took my arm, guided me into the conference room like I was fragile. Derek was there. Expensive suit, fake sympathetic smile, 2 lawyers I didn't know, and a woman who introduced herself as being from Adult Protective Services. Red flag. They'd brought APS to the meeting, witnesses to my supposed incompetence. We sat. The lead lawyer, a woman named Cartwright, began explaining the conservatorship petition. Mr. Mitchell, we're all here because people who care about you are concerned about your ability to manage your complex financial affairs given your recent diagnosis. This is a very normal process, nothing to be worried about. I let my hand shake as I reached for the water glass. Spilled a little. Nicole rushed to dab it up, murmuring comfort. Cartwright continued. Your wife Nicole would be appointed as your conservator, which means she'd handle all financial decisions on your behalf. For your protection, you understand, to make sure no one takes advantage of you in your vulnerable state. The irony was so thick I nearly laughed. Now, we have medical documentation here from Dr. Chen, indicating progressive cognitive decline, memory impairment, inability to manage complex decision-making. I'm sorry, I interrupted, my voice soft. Who is Dr. Chen? Nicole squeezed my hand. He's the neurologist who evaluated you last month, honey. Remember? No, I don't remember that. My doctor is Dr. Peterson. I've never seen a Dr. Chen. Cartwright and Derek exchanged glances. Mr. Mitchell, you signed consent forms for Dr. Chen's evaluation. We have them here. May I see them? She slid the papers across. I looked at the signature. This isn't my signature. The room went very quiet. Dad, maybe you just don't remember signing. Derek started. I'm not your dad, I said, my voice still soft but clearer now. You're Derek Paulson, Nicole's boyfriend of 8 years. Why are you at a meeting about my medical care and finances? Nicole's face drained of color. Robert, honey, Derek is just a friend who's been helping plan how to steal $4.8 million from me. Yes, I know. I reached up and carefully removed the smart glasses, setting them on the table. The little red recording light was visible if you knew where to look. These have been recording since I walked in, I said. Video and audio. Just like they've been recording for the past 6 weeks. Just like the voice recorders in my house have been recording for the past 6 weeks. Cartwright started to stand. Mr. Mitchell, I don't know what you think. Sit down, Miss Cartwright. You'll want to hear this. The door opened. Thomas walked in, followed by Jennifer, followed by Bill Henderson, followed by a man in a suit who introduced himself as Detective Morris from the Portland Police Department's Financial Crimes Unit. What is this? Nicole's voice was shrill now, the concerned wife act gone. This, I said, is checkmate. Bill opened his briefcase and pulled out a tablet. Let's start with February 19th, 2:17 a.m. The conversation in Mr. Mitchell's living room between his wife and Mr. Paulson. He pressed play. Crystal clear audio. Can't rush this, Derek. If we move too fast, the kids will challenge everything. Nicole lunged for the tablet. Detective Morris stepped forward. Mrs. Mitchell, I'd stay seated if I were you. Bill played clip after clip. Nicole calling Dr. Chen to coordinate false medical reports. Derek discussing selling my stores to a developer I'd already verified he'd been in contact with Cascade Properties, had gotten emails. Nicole and Derek celebrating their plan over wine in my living room, discussing which country they'd move to after they'd liquidated everything. The APS representative looked like she might be sick. Oh my God. Then there's this, Jennifer said, pulling up bank records on her laptop. Unauthorized transfer attempts from Dad's business account to an LLC registered to Derek Paulson. They were rejected because the bank flagged them as suspicious and called Dad to verify, which I didn't, I added, because I never authorized them. Cartwright was gathering her papers. I had no knowledge of any of this. My client represented that. Your client hired you to help commit conservatorship fraud, Detective Morris said. We'll need a statement from you. And you might want to call your own lawyer. Derek tried to run. Thomas, my 50-year-old son who still played rugby on weekends, blocked the door. Don't. Nicole was crying now. But they weren't the tender tears she'd cried at my diagnosis. These were panicked, desperate. Robert, please. You don't understand. I love you. This is all a misunderstanding. There's no misunderstanding, I said. You married me to steal everything I'd worked for. You used my diagnosis as an opportunity. You faked medical records, attempted conservatorship fraud, planned to institutionalize me in a state facility while you and your boyfriend split millions. I stood up, steadier than I'd appeared in weeks, looked her in the eye. You thought the Alzheimer's made me helpless. You thought I'd forget, get confused, not notice. But here's what you didn't account for. I built a business from nothing in one of the hardest industries in America. I survived every economic crisis, every competitor, every challenge for 40 years. You think I did that by being stupid, by not paying attention? I picked up the smart glasses. I may forget where I put my keys sometimes. I may call my daughter by my late wife's name occasionally. But I never, ever forget when someone tries to steal from me. Detective Morris stepped forward with handcuffs. Nicole Mitchell, Derek Paulson, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit fraud, attempted theft by deception, elder abuse, and conspiracy to forge medical documents. As he read them their rights, Nicole looked at me one last time. The mask was fully gone now. Just rage and hatred in her eyes. You'll never find anyone else, she hissed. You're going to die alone in that big house, confused and forgotten, and no one will care. Jennifer stepped forward, took my arm. He's got us, you sociopath. He's got family who actually loves him. They led Nicole and Derek out. The APS representative apologized profusely. She'd been completely deceived by the fraudulent medical records. Cartwright lawyered up and left quickly. Bill shook my hand. Robert, in 39 years of practicing law, that was the most satisfying case I've ever worked. It's not over yet, I said. There's still Dr. Chen and whoever else they paid off. Detective Morris is already on it. The medical board will handle Dr. Chen. Your recordings gave them everything they need. The police investigation moved fast once they had the evidence. Dr. Chen's medical license was suspended within a week. Turned out this wasn't his first time falsifying records for money. The state medical board opened investigations into 2 other cases. He took a plea deal. 5 years in prison. Permanent loss of license. Derek Paulson had prior fraud convictions we didn't know about, scams targeting elderly women in California and Washington. He got 12 years in federal prison. Nicole went to trial. Her lawyer tried to claim she was manipulated by Derek, that she really loved me, but got in over her head. The jury didn't buy it. They heard the recordings of her laughing about putting me in a state facility. They saw the emails about selling my stores. They listened to her cold calculation of how much money they'd steal. 7 years in state prison. Full restitution ordered for all costs. I'd incurred legal fees, investigation costs, everything. The divorce was finalized in October. The prenup held. She left with exactly what she'd brought into the marriage. Nothing. I'm sitting in my living room now, the same one where I overheard that conversation 8 months ago. Thomas helped me set up new security, changed all the locks, swept the house for anything Nicole might have left behind. Jennifer comes up from San Diego once a month to check on me, though we both know I'm doing fine. The Alzheimer's is progressing slowly, just like Dr. Peterson predicted. I have good days and bad days. I'm forgetting more things now, appointments, the names of new employees at my stores, sometimes what I had for breakfast. But I still remember Margaret's smile. I remember my kids as children. I remember building my first store with my own hands, and I'll never forget the look on Nicole's face when she realized she'd underestimated me. My son asked me last week if I regretted marrying her, if I wished I'd listened to the warnings. No, I said. I don't regret trying to find love again after your mother died. I regret that some people see vulnerability as opportunity. But I don't regret being human enough to want companionship. You could try again, Dad. Not everyone is like Nicole. Maybe. But right now, I'm good. I've got my stores, hired a management company to help run day-to-day operations. I've got my kids and grandkids. I've set up a trust that protects everything for after I'm gone. with Thomas and Jennifer as trustees and ironclad provisions to prevent any future Nicole from getting their hands on it. I've also donated $500,000 to the Oregon Elder Abuse Prevention Coalition. They're using it to train bank employees, healthcare workers, and lawyers to spot financial exploitation. They're naming it the Margaret Mitchell Fund, after my late wife. Because that's the thing about people like Nicole and Derek, they count on shame and silence. They count on victims being too embarrassed to admit they were fooled, too confused to fight back, too isolated to get help. But I wasn't silent. I fought back. And I want other people to know they can too. There's a business card on my mantle now, next to Margaret's photo. National Elder Abuse Hotline. 1-800-677-1116. Detective Morris gave it to me after the arrests. Put this somewhere visible, he'd said. You never know who might need it. Last month, I got a call from a woman in Eugene. Her daughter had seen a news story about my case. The woman thought her new husband might be stealing from her, but she wasn't sure, and she felt foolish for suspecting him. I talked to her for an hour, told her what to look for, how to document, who to call, connected her with Bill Henderson. 2 weeks ago, her husband was arrested for trying to transfer $400,000 from her deceased parents' estate into his personal account. She called to thank me. You saved my life, she said. No, I told her. You saved your own life by paying attention and asking for help. I just showed you it was possible. That's my legacy now, I think. Not just the hardware stores or the money I'll leave to my kids. It's this. Proof that being sick doesn't mean being helpless. That getting older doesn't mean giving up. That vulnerability doesn't equal defeat. Nicole thought my Alzheimer's diagnosis made me an easy target. She thought I'd be too confused to notice, too impaired to act, too scared to fight. She thought wrong. I'm Robert Mitchell. I'm 67 years old. I have early-stage Alzheimer's disease. Some days I forget where I parked my car. Some days I can't remember if I took my medication. But I'll never forget that I'm not a victim. I'm a survivor, and I've got the court records to prove it. They thought the disease made me weak. It made me watchful, and that made all the difference.